Join us as we take a bicycle tour through some of Singapore's key attractions, including the Formula 1 circuit. Hi everyone, and welcome to Dan's Destinations. I'm Dan, and I migrated to Australia in 2015, where I enjoy exploring new places and making travel guides to share these places with you all. So if you like my guides, do smash that like and subscribe button to stay on top of our latest videos. Hi everyone, and welcome to Dan's Destinations. I was back in Singapore and I stayed at 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗏 Spring, which was previously run by Citadines. It had gone through some upgrades and looked a bit more upscale. The rooms were mostly the same size, but I could see some uplift in the furnishings. Machine here. Some water bottle for you to fill up drinking water. It's a fridge. There's also a mini fridge which you can stock up with drinks from 7-Eleven. It's a nice working table here. The plugs are universal with USB chargers. TV facing the bed. The closet comes with bathrobes, an umbrella, laundry basket, and a safe. I found their bathrooms to be clean and quite spacious. I was lucky to get a room with a view of the Marina Bay Sands from the window. There are many ways to see Singapore. You can take the MRT, you can jump on the bus, or you can do what we are doing today. Grab a shared bicycle and pedal your way around one of the cleanest, safest, and most obsessively organized cities on Earth. One of the activities I wanted to try this visit was to take a ride along the waterfront. Singapore's shared bicycle system is a modern miracle. There are two major providers, Anywheel and HelloRide. You can use a pay-as-you-go approach, where it typically costs about $1 per 30 minutes. Alternatively, you can take a one-week plan, where it's free for the first 30 minutes each ride all day, but if you extend your ride beyond the first 30 minutes, they start charging you 50 cents per 30 minutes after. If using this plan, the best approach here is to always end your ride in 30 minutes, and look around that area before you start a new 30-minute ride. Scan an app, unlock a bike, and you're suddenly part of a giant social experiment involving thousands of brightly colored bicycles scattered around the city like someone lost a massive game of Monopoly. It's convenient, affordable, and surprisingly easy, assuming you remember which side of the road you ride on and don't accidentally cycle onto a racetrack. When you finish your ride, you will need to park in one of the many designated bicycle parking areas. This is to avoid creating public clutter with indiscriminate parking. On ending your ride, you have 10 minutes to scan the QR code next to the parking bay, or you will incur an additional $5 convenience fee. That's good. You can use the app to help you find suitable parking bays, which can then be fed into Google Maps for navigation. You can also rent a bicycle for the day from one of the many bicycle rental companies here, but the downside is you have to look after the bicycle and return it to the rental store at the end of the day. With a shared bicycle, you can leave it at one of the many bicycle parking bays throughout the city. If you prefer to have a tour guide organize all the sites to visit, Viator has some great day tours available, and if you use our link below, it helps us out and doesn't cost you extra. While there are extensive bicycle paths throughout Singapore, we are taking one of the easiest. Our route starts at Raffles Place MRT, where we cycle to the Promenade and then on to Marina Bay Sands, past the Art Science Museum and then on to the Flower Dome and Gardens by the Bay. Past that, we head to the Marina Barrage and Gardens by the Bay East to explore the Breakwater, before returning and crossing the Helix Bridge and cycling past the waterfront promenade, Raffles Landing site and onto the 𝗣𝗥𝗢𝗗𝗨𝗖𝗧𝗦 Bungy. Marina Bay Sands, where someone challenged an architect to build 3 skyscrapers and then balance a luxury cruise ship on top of them. It towers over the skyline like a monument to human ambition, engineering brilliance, and people with significantly larger bank accounts than the rest of us. Spectra Light Show. As the sun sets, this nightly light and water show combines fountains, lasers, music, projections, and enough technology to make a small nation nervous. From the waterfront, colourful beams dance across the bay while water shoots into the air with military precision. It's free, which in Singapore feels almost suspicious. Next, the rain Occulus, the world's most expensive drain. It is essentially a giant whirlpool above a massive bowl-shaped skylight. If your friend stands across the bowl, the acoustics will allow your voice to travel across the bowl to them. The Moongate is a sculpture that also doubles as a marker for the 𝗧𝗢𝗡𝗞𝗦 time capsule, a collection of 50 items representing Singapore's diversity, values, and aspiration for the future. It was buried in 2015 by the Prime Minister, with a planned opening in 50 years or 2065. Next, we cycle into the futuristic wonderland of Gardens by the Bay, where Avatar meets gardening. Towering super trees rise from the landscapes like something from a science fiction film. From there, we cycle onto the Marina Barrage. Now, to be honest, in most countries, a dam is not exactly considered a tourist attraction. You don't usually hear someone say, "Mate, forget about the beaches. We are visiting the flood control infrastructure." But they do have a beautiful water fountain that lights up at night. It is also the gateway to cross over to the Marina Bay East, as there are no other easily accessible footpaths to the breakwaters. The dam provides flood mitigation control and also serves as a great vantage point to view the city skyline. Across the dam, we come to Marina Bay East, a peaceful waterfront garden that is also home to a beautiful breakwater. This place is popular amongst local fishing enthusiasts as well as wedding photographers. It stretches out into the bay, framed by the many merchant ships in the ocean, creating one of the most unique viewpoints in the city. You can see the Marina Bay Sands behind me. And this is the famous breakwater. Standing here feels a bit like you are stuck in the backstage of a concert. The skyline rises directly in front of you. Marina Bay Sands dominates the horizon. Cargo ships drift in the distance. Cyclists, joggers, photographers, and couples all gather here for the same reason: the view. And what a view it is! From this vantage point, Singapore resembles a city built by someone who refused to accept the limitations of physics, budget, or common sense. For cyclists exploring Marina Bay, the breakwater is one of those rare places worth slowing down for. After all the paddling through tropical humidity, occasionally stopping to admire the view is not laziness. It's cultural appreciation. However, if you visit this place in the evening, do remember to slop on plenty of mosquito repellent, as I was prime target for all the mozzies around here. After this, I rode back across the Barrage and back to the Art Science Centre to cross over the Helix Bridge. From here, I thought to cycle on past the Singapore Flyer, but it was getting too dark, so I turned back. I headed to the waterfront promenade to seek out some dinner, but I arrived too late with many of the shops here closing early. After a failed attempt to secure dinner, I rode on past Raffles Landing area, seeing the statue of Deng Xiaoping and also Sir Stamford Raffles. Sir Stamford Raffles is credited with establishing Singapore as a British trading post. The statue commemorates the location where Raffles is believed to have come ashore on 29 January 1819. What followed was one of the most successful startup stories in human history. The original investment? A trading post. The result? A global financial powerhouse. The Riverside Promenade offers fantastic photo opportunities, shaded walkways, and a chance to catch your breath before continuing the ride. It's also one of the rare places where you can stand in a historically significant location without paying an entrance fee. A concept so unusual that Singapore's accountants are probably still losing sleep over it. After spending the day cycling around tropical Singapore and producing enough sweat to fill Marina Bay, I've definitely earned dinner. That brings us to Georgetown 𝗧𝗧𝗡𝗏. It is everything Singapore does best: unpretentious, noisy, packed with locals, and focused entirely on serving fantastic food. Georgetown is the capital of Penang in Malaysia and is famous for its street food. 𝗧𝗧𝗡 literally means cook and fry, but that's underselling it considerably. One of the surprising and incredibly refreshing drinks here is the frozen peach beer. Ice cold, fruity, and dangerously refreshing. It was exactly what was required after spending the day marinating in Singapore's tropical humidity. The frozen slush on top slowly melted into the beer below, creating a drink that somehow managed to be both crisp and ridiculously easy to consume. You tell yourself you have one, but then suddenly you're contemplating a second, while pretending it's part of your hydration strategy. The fried kway teow arrives glistening from the wok, carrying the unmistakable aroma known throughout Southeast Asia as 𝗧𝗥𝗢𝗚. The magical smoky flavour that can only be achieved through blistering heat, years of experience, and what appears to be a complete disregard for occupational health and safety. Every bite was deeply savoury and packed with flavour. The noodles retained just the right texture, while the seasoning delivered that perfect balance of salty, smoky goodness that keeps your chopstick moving long after you promise yourself you'd slow down. The perfect accompaniment is the fried pork belly. If you ever wondered what happiness sounds like, it's probably the crunch this dish makes when you bite into it. Every piece crumbles with an audible crack before giving way to the juicy, succulent pork beneath. The combination of the crispy exterior and tender interior made it dangerously addictive. The sort of dish where everyone politely says they'll just have one more piece, before launching a coordinated attack on the remaining portions. The next day, I set out in the morning to cycle by the Singapore Flyer and live out my F1 dreams. My route takes me from Raffles Place to the Merlion, across the Jubilee Bridge and to Singapore Flyer. From there, it was up to the City Gate, which is near Kampong Glam. After breakfast, I returned via the War Memorial and Raffles Landing. I rode by the Merlion and the Jubilee Bridge while it was still early, and then proceeded to the Singapore Flyer. When it opened in 2008, the Flyer briefly held the title of the world's tallest observation wheel. Standing at 165 meters tall, the Flyer offers breathtaking views across Marina Bay and the Singapore Straits. Beside it, the tracks were being ready for the Formula 1 race, with massive metal frames lining the roadside. I had previously ridden the F1 track in Melbourne, and I was keen to repeat that here. And by ride, I mean enthusiastically pedal at 18 km per hour on a little green shared bicycle while dreaming that I'm racing for the world championship like a little kid. And from the looks of the other cyclists tucked into imaginary racing positions, leaning dramatically through corners and making engine noises in their heads, I'm not alone in this. No judgment, we've all done it. A little further along sits one of Singapore's most unusual sights, the DuckTours Ramp.
This is the DuckTours boat ramp, which I showed in my previous video.
This is where the famous amphibious duck tour vehicles transition from road to water. It's part tour bus, part boat, and entirely dedicated to proving that practical transportation and mild insanity can successfully coexist. After that, I arrive at Nickel Highway MRT station, where I park my bicycle. While there, I spot a monitor lizard walking by on the sidewalk. A sign of a healthy ecosystem in an urban city, and proof of how effective Singapore has been in cleaning up the pollution in its rivers. I then set out in search of breakfast after the morning exercise. In Singapore, places to eat are never far away. That brings us to Toast Box at City Gate.
Having breakfast here.
Singaporeans take breakfast seriously. Not in the avocado toast kind of way. We're talking thick slices of toasted bread slathered with butter, soft-boiled eggs, and coffee strong enough to revive the dead. At Toast Box, the aroma of coffee and freshly toasted bread drifts through the air like a siren song for tired cyclists. It's simple comfort food. The kind of breakfast that has fueled generations of Singaporeans long before artisanal cafes started charging extra for oat milk. After breakfast, I pick up another shared bicycle and make my way back, cycling by the War Memorial. Often called the Chopsticks by locals, it commemorates the civilian victims who lost their lives during the Japanese occupation of Singapore during World War II. It's a reminder that beneath Singapore's modern skyline lies a history marked by hardship, resilience, and sacrifice. A short ride away lies the Padang. If you've ever wondered where Singapore keeps its giant front lawn, this is it. For nearly 2 centuries, the Padang has been the centre of civic life. Colonial administrators once played cricket here. National Day celebrations have been held here. Military parades have marched across it, and today, office workers stroll past it while trying not to spill their coffee. Behind it, you will also find the Singapore Parliament, where you can view parliamentary sessions from the public gallery or join a group tour. Every great ride deserves a reward, and in Singapore that reward comes in the form of an ice cream sandwich, the proper local version. At Uncle Magnolia Traditional Ice Cream, brightly coloured blocks of ice cream are sliced and tucked between rainbow sliced bread. It's a beloved Singaporean tradition and one of the best bargains in the city. The choices range from classic vanilla and chocolate to local favourites like durian for the brave.
Thank you.
After a long day cycling through tropical Singapore, it might just be the perfect dessert. By the end of the ride, you'll have cycled through the city that somehow feels both futuristic and deeply human. You see engineering marvels, glowing artificial forests, luxury hotels shaped like cruise ships, and what may be the world's most photogenic drain. You also discover that Singapore is best experienced at bicycle speed, fast enough to cover ground, slow enough to appreciate the details. And if you've done it correctly, you'll finish the day exhausted, sweaty, and sitting in front of a table full of ice-cold beer, wondering whether ordering one more plate of noodles is a terrible idea. In Singapore, one more dish is always the right decision. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed my guide, please do hit the like and subscribe button to stay notified of my next video, where I visit Kampong Glam, the Muslim quarter.